What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's Real Estate Investing REI Deal Breakdown. Today, I'm going to talk about a fix and flip property that we did in, Rock Tavern, New York. So if you're interested in learning how to make money on properties, this is the channel to watch. This is the podcast to watch. So if you're not familiar with me, my name is Greg Helbeck. I've done around 200 deals. Been a full-time real estate investor now for 8 years. We've got a 7-figure business and a rental portfolio, not fortfolio. I don't know what a fortfolio is, but the goal of this channel and this podcast is to just share what I've learned with everyone so they can benefit and we can all grow together. So 3 Deer Hill Road, how did I find the house? Found the house through direct mail, inherited property, seller called. Ironically, I was actually in New York when she called and I was about to fly back to the West Coast. And I think I had a flight like that evening or something, and I was like, hey, if you want, I can come see this house on the spot because I have a little bit of time on my hands. And she said, absolutely. So literally by the time I got the call, and I just told Brett, my acquisitions guy, I'm going to just work this lead. I said, I'll come see it. So like 30 minutes later, I was at the property. Seller was motivated. She inherited the property. She did not want to list the house. It needed some work, but it wasn't terrible. It was a great house in a great area on a great lot, a lot of land, pretty area. And we ended up negotiating like right at the appointment, and I forgot the number. I think it was like $295. I think I bought the house for. Yeah, it was $295. Knew the house was probably worth like 400-ish fixed up. So I asked her what she'd want to get for it, and she told me. And then I said, let me go back to my house. Ran the numbers, made her the offer. She accepted the offer. We went into contract. The plan was to buy it for $295, which is a little high if you know the numbers, and put like 10 grand into it and sell it at $350 to hopefully kick off a bidding war to sell it for what we ultimately sold it for, which is $385. So we did the work. It was a little bit more work than I thought. We had to do basically a bathroom, which was not in the plan. We had to do carpet on the floors. We fixed some of the carpet. We did some trim work. We did some sheetrock work. Nothing crazy. We had to remove one of those things where old people go up and down stairs, which is expensive. But anyway, I think we were all in this thing for like 15 grand of rehab and put on the market for $350. Shout out to Christian Baez, my realtor, who's a fucking stud and really knows what he's doing when it comes to selling properties. And we had a great strategy. We listed it for $350, got a bunch of offers, ended up selling it for $385, and it was a relatively smooth transaction to close. Now, what are some lessons I learned? By the way, this deal only made like $20,000 net profit, which is insanely bad for a flip, because if you're going to take that much risk and spend that much money, we spent, over $300,000 with the rehab to make 20 grand. That's a bad strategy. So lesson number 1 is I really wanted to buy this house, especially because I went on the appointment and I had some time invested into it and whatnot. So I paid too much for the property because I knew she wasn't going to really sell for anything less. And the seller was super happy at the closing. And usually if the seller is like super happy, jumping for joy, it probably means you paid too much for the property. I kind of knew that, but I knew that it was a good area and a great house. So sometimes when you have a good house, you can pay a little bit more, but I would not advise getting in the habit of doing that. And at the end of the day, making $20,000 net profit on almost a $400,000 sale is bad. Like if you're flipping houses, whether you're rehabbing them or wholetailing them, which means you're just cleaning them out and putting them back on the market, you want to shoot for at least 10% of the final sales price, minimum, if not more. So if you sell a $500,000 house, you should shoot to make at least $50,000, if not more, or else it's really not worth it. So lesson number 1 is don't do tight deals. This one ended up working out in my favor because of the market where it was. And, we know the area super well. This is like my backyard where I basically grew up. So great market to flip houses in. So don't pay too much for houses. This one ended up working out, but I did another house a couple months after that. I ended up losing $20,000 on it and I didn't know that area. So shame on me. So don't overpay for property. Lesson number 2, it's going to be counterintuitive. If you're going to overpay for property, you got to know that area, right? I knew this area super well. I knew that it was going to sell. I looked at the comps and there was a lot of data to support that, that $350 to $385 sales price was right on the money. So that was great. And then the third lesson is actually when it comes to renovating. So you don't always have to do a full-blown gut rehab and take everything down to the studs and redo kitchens and this, that, and the other. I looked at this property and from the outside, it was clean as a whistle. Great siding, great roof, great windows. I had a little bit of a quirky walk-up, so we had to do some extra work and build some stairs and get permits, which sucked. But anyway, you don't got to go hard in the paint when you do these rehabs. If the house is clean and just dated, a lot of the times in most markets, you can just put that property back on the market if you're buying it at a discount. And you could still make pretty good money without having to get involved in a huge construction project. So look at your deals when you're doing them, if you're flipping homes, and say, what's the as-is value of this property? Because a lot of people go crazy over the ARV, which is really the after repair value, which is the value of the house after a remodel is completed. And you got to think about it. Not that many comps are going to be gut renovated, right? There's going to be a few here and there from flippers and owners who did a lot of work. But most of the comparables you're going to be looking to compare your property to are going to be original properties that are just dated. So you don't have to really go crazy with the ARV. You got to know that ARV, if you're going to rehab it, obviously, because that's what you're really looking to get. But the other value that's very important is the as-is value, which is just the value of the property in its current condition. And a great way to do that is you look at the ARV, if there are comps that can support an actual ARV with rehab comparables or whatever, and take your property and say, all right, my property is cosmetically dated, probably needs about 40 grand worth of work if we wanted to get it to this ARV number. In this case, the ARV would have been like 415, 420. So you can just take, okay, if it's going to be 40 grand to get this thing to ARV number, you take the ARV and you minus whatever those cosmetic upgrades are, and that's generally going to give you your as-is value. And a lot of times, if you're buying at a discount below the as-is value, you're going to be able to make some money, hopefully. So that was 3 Deer Hill Road. I wouldn't do this deal again. I would not spend that kind of money in terms of the purchase price to get a $20,000 net profit. That's clearly not worth it. But hey, as they say, you can't go broke making a profit, but you don't want to get in the habit of doing tight deals, especially in this current interest rate environment where we are in, December of 2023, where, the rates are still in the 7s. So hope you enjoyed this. If you did get value, please like the show, like the video, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow this thing. It's not easy to do. And then if you're in the Hudson Valley or Reno, Nevada or San Diego or the state of Delaware and you have a house you want to sell me, you're a wholesaler, you're someone listening who knows someone who has a house for sale. I want to buy it. So send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. I'll see you on the next real estate investing deal breakdown. Take care.